Hello, popcorn junkies. Are you a Star Wars fan? If you're not, and I know a lot of you aren't, you may want to go somewhere else. This is a Star Wars trailer. Now, Star Wars. It's in a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? The whole Star Wars thing. The whole Lucasfilm thing. Indiana Jones isn't doing particularly well at the box office. The Star Wars films, mixed kind of reactions, mixed kind of feelings about them. Series, Mandalorian, good. Obi-Wan, good. Andor, good. There's a genuine problem here, which is that there's so much content coming out that it's very hard to kind of stick with it. And, you know, things like the Book of Boba Fett, it felt like we just watched a man wandering around the desert for an awful long time. There are moments in The Mandalorian where you feel like you're watching people wander around for an awful long time. And when you then find out that, you know, potentially Pedro Pascal isn't even in the suit for huge swathes of him wandering around the desert with Grogu in his arms, another sort of level of joy and childlike sort of innocence is just removed from the equation. So Star Wars is on the back foot. It needs a good old, jab of adrenaline. It needs an injection of, I don't know, some kind of glucose in the eyeball or something like that. Anyway, but you know, I'm a Star Wars fan. If something new with Star Wars comes along, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to look at it. But I know that for a number of you, it's like Marmite. It's like it's had its time. It had its day. It's done its thing. Well, this is Ahsoka, I think that, is that how you pronounce it? Ahsoka? Played by Rosario Dawson. Ahsoka. A character, I believe, evolved out of Star Wars Rebels, the animated shows, which I've never watched. So I have no comprehension, have no knowledge or understanding of. I do know that Ahsoka came or appeared in The Mandalorian. And I also know that Rosario Dawson is a rather beautiful woman. She's a former Jedi Padawan, isn't she? I love that, Jedi Padawan. She's got that wonderful sort of, head. I don't know what those creatures are called, but she's. I don't know. I find them quite sort of attractive. Those sort of great long globulous kind of things hanging over the back of the head. And as I say, I'm coming at this just as a Star Wars fan, not a Star Wars aficionado. I don't know where this slots into the multifaceted, tessellated universe that is Star Wars. I think it comes after Return of the Jedi, but I don't know where Rebels comes in all of that. I don't know how to slot the cartoon characters into the universe. But without further ado, let's check it out, shall we?
War is inevitable. One must destroy in order to create.
That was good.
We are no Jedi.
Ooh.
I started hearing whispers of Thrawn's return as heir to the Empire.
What happens when we find Thrawn?
Power, such as you've never dreamed.
I've spent most of my life fighting a war. That's why I'm trying to convince you to help me prevent another one. You and I both know who could help you with this.
She's still just as stubborn as ever.
I bet your master found you difficult at times.
Anakin never got to finish my training. I walked away from him, just like I walked away from Sabine. You never made things easy for me, Master.
As a Jedi, sometimes you have to make the decision no one else can. But I'm counting on you to see this through.
Nice haircut. Sometimes we have to do what's right, regardless of our personal feelings.
Buckle up.
If we don't stop Thrawn, everything will be in vain. You have no power.
Anakin spoke highly of you.
I'm not here to discuss my past.
We have a lot of work to do.
Once a rebel, always a rebel.
Well, her design, her configuration, she's great. The colours, the design, her sort of, it looks like headgear. It almost looks like she's a pharaoh, but obviously it's part of her physicality, as it is with the Green Lady, with similar things. So I find her design, I find her look. This is when Star Wars gets a creature, a character, or a bit of kit right. I mean, I held the original lightsaber designed by the original lightsaber designer man, and it's just like, it's right. It's right. And so she's right. I think of all the kind of sort of cartoony characters to become a sort of fully fledged humanoid character, she's a good one. Very female orientated, which I think is good. And I think, I'm sure it will come in for a bashing from certain quarters for that. Very powerful. Nice to see a lightsaber actually going through someone, because sometimes there's always that worry with Disney, isn't there, that they're sort of pulling their punches and people don't really die, and stormtroopers get hit in the chest, or stormtroopers miss everyone else, and when they get hit in the chest they fall, but you sort of think they probably got up after that, didn't they? So nice to see lightsabers going through people. It does lead you to think, and I think you could argue that Andor does this a little bit. Is anyone almost after a kind of really 18 certificate Star Wars? Could that be the secret weapon at Lucasfilm? What I think they maybe need to do, given that the vast majority of the Star Wars, Indiana Jones, all that kind of stuff, those people are my age, we can cope with this shit now. We're not 11 anymore. We're not 7 anymore. Why not give us some really 18 certificate stuff? And yeah, deliver some of the baby stuff, deliver some of the kiddie stuff, bring in a new audience and all that kind of stuff. But really deliver us some kind of proper rip-roaring kind of, adult content. And this felt like it was nibbling at the edges of that. It looked very dynamic. Again, I don't know where this slots where. I don't know really I don't know which Padawan and which Jedi is loyal to which Jedi and whose helmet belongs to who. I thought there was one particular helmet, as one of them was riding on one of those kind of, speed biker type things. It looked particularly battered and cool, didn't it? It looked really nice. I like that battered realism. I get enough battered realism, with a lot of this stuff. Not in the way that you did with the first ones, and I thought that was nice. And she looks sensational at the centre of it. She looks mesmerising. So, yeah, are you excited about that if you're a Star Wars fan? I think I'm going to go and look at it. I'm going to check it out. I'm certainly going to watch the first episode.